As anyone who has read my work or looked into my research through video mediums or conversation with me knows, I believe that knowing where to look and understanding the basic themes of what you will find there yields the depository provided by the assassin group as a mockery of scholastic ability to detect them. I'll talk about one example at the beginning of this obscure lecture, which is the premiere episode of The Wild Wild West. The protagonist is being taken and changed purportedly to his hanging. But when he arrives, he's immediately released. It was a show put on so people would think he was a villain. And he's sworn in as a Secret Service agent to an actor portraying Ulysses S. Grant. And Ulysses S. Grant professes hostility for carpetbaggers, complaining about their nuisance and so forth. Now, several things are being represented in this opening to the Wild Wild West in terms of flipping the truth on its head. The man who complained about carpetbaggers was Rutherford B. Hayes. He's the one who led the backlash against the rights of African Americans in the liberated South. Not Ulysses S. Grant. Ulysses S. Grant was a strong government who favored African American voting rights, and the carpetbaggers who had participated in liberating the South and gaining African American their rights. But the theme of turning the truth on its head that way is central to the politics of the two-eyed Cyclops and his era. The man being the protagonist, portraying himself as being taken to his hanging and then secretly let go, was another representation of how the FBI helped Adolf Hitler. The rabbit from the fascists of England and the Axis Hollywood that snuck Hitler in the back door over what would have been the objections of the veterans of the World War II era. It's important to understand that the veterans of the World War II era had a calm, sobering voice in American affairs for the GI Bill, education, reform, and reason. However, the forces that turn the truth on its head as a mockery of the American public television consuming audience ability to perceive what they were doing went on, for example, to claim that the liberal white Kennedy was to blame for abortion, when in reality Kennedy was opposed to abortion. He didn't think Americans would ever accept it. So when we see these antics that come out of Pittsburgh and Seattle, they come from a world where truth has already been flipped on its head as a mockery of the public's inability to perceive what is true. So, one of the things that goes on in the song and dance from the NAACP is that Lyndon Johnson stood with them more than JFK. And they cite the Civil Rights Act of 1964, but that was JFK's legislation. Johnson passed it easily because JFK had been killed. So it's tragic and moronic what they've done. But in the meantime, the song and dance that we got out of Pittsburgh and Seattle covers for the way the universities were turned into sex adventure central in Pittsburgh and Seattle. And they were manufacturing child tapes of someone they took hostage, battered, and tortured, and then getting all giggly and normalizing it. And it was this giggly normalization of sex adventure spectroscoping in secret that the police society used to contradict that, breathalyzer karma was underwriting the AIDS attack. Oh, well, you got it because you were dirty. Now, if you go through the back lots of Hollywood and the strangulation board lynching this generation the way they did, you see filmmakers who made Diva, Gummo, Kids, The People versus Larry Flint, shaping a plastic reality about how it was going to be perceived and who was going to be King Mouse in the affair. So you had Penis Gabriel lobbying for the people who started AIDS and saying, oh, it was all giggly and normal from Warhol. That's just a provincial norm. And saying, oh, the shunts, and the whole society of Coolidge that coagulates about Bernie Sanders exists because of student loans. They're for the people, this and that. But if you don't have a student loan, Rosa Clemente finds it difficult to blackmail you and use you and harvest you for her party. So you're out. Once you get the student loans, they'll reconsider you. So the two-eyed Cyclops, presides over all of this. And you have Tulsi Gabbard coming whinging and curtsying and whining and pleading, oh, Mr. Two-Eyed Cyclops, won't you please forgive Snowden? She's part of the new assassin lobby that's super right-wing, assassinating people from rooftops, after the whole show board. And they handed down that I kissed a grate in an Iowa jail isolation through the psychiatric lobby to Emil Kassir when they did the COVID bomb. Margaret Shin, the doctor in Polk County Jail, was obviously part of the relay circuit that the two-eyed Cyclops used at Tacoma. So, the idea that names just happen doesn't change their utility. I'm mentioning that because James Shipman committed suicide in Pittsburgh, and I was known as James and identified as a shipman of George Bush, and he was, oh, no conspiracy theory, forget about that. But they're creating a fictive family doctrine is the point. And the fictive family doctrine is to try to create, mice the buddy system when they exterminate them. And that's the experiment of the people who giggly and normalize the atrocity while promoting the bigwigs like Flint and the two-eyed Cyclops. They have a group in Westmoreland County, where Mel Gibson was, who helped set off the fireworks, and popularized the anarchism in films like Mad Max. And the guru of all of this lewdness, John Lennon, who's the saint of all of the lies, went around promoting, I'll take the young and healthy. And that's what they're doing. The fascists are saying, well, we're reconnoitering for the young and healthy. And I found in my notebooks from these people who got largesse, was their terms, lots of money that means, for the giggly normalization of the extermination process that they dramatize with their provincial norm of children screaming from hostage and abuse and so forth, and weird nervous system poisons for the shunts and Willie Wattenmaker, was of Attica State Prison Psychiatry Board and stuff, was promoting the young and healthy. I found in my notebooks the word geriatricide, which means killing off the seniors. So we know what they're up to. You know, there's two-eyed Cyclops. I mean, I was myself in devastation and worry constantly when Trump was sick with COVID. I was mortified that he would be lost. But that's the emotional contour of the diabolical arrangements where the victim family was subverted, you know, and the Mays dudes came and clocked Kennedy on the head, cool, and then said it's because he was a loathsome racist who thought he was better than us and he was going to make money.